At the northernmost edge of the abandoned Pale Horse Plaza, the remains of an old bike trail cut bluntly through a deep red clover patch. Beyond that, the trail thinned as it weaved its way through a copse of enormous sycamores and on past a crumbling stone wall, the only remains of the old market. Beyond the wall, the trail continued into a cedar swamp, and there, among the willows and cattails, the trail ended at a witch's cabin. Why had it taken Tierney so long to find the trail? True, not many bikers came through here these days, but for nearly an hour she searched the back edge of the plaza, finding no evidence of a trail. Maybe it was just the joint she had smoked before coming to the plaza.
You fucking idiot. Of course there's no trail. You need to stop believing every stupid fucking thing you read on the web. That voicemail was a joke. Why am I so fucking stupid?
Bzzz. A bee flew by Tierney's ear. In her dodge to get away, she tumbled blindly off the cracked curb at the edge of the parking lot. As she fell, something caught her eye. A dim glimmer like sunlight through cedar water, kaleidoscoping the rhododendron in full bloom behind it. She hit the blacktop hard, skidding on all fours. The asphalt ripped her jeans, and now blood was seeping through at the knees. Her palms felt wet and hot. No doubt they were bleeding too. Tierney embraced the pain, let it seal her intentions. The glimmer had stirred something in her, and she wanted more. She stood slowly, concentrating, feeling every piece of gravel and glass in her palms, savoring every screaming nerve and projecting it all into one thought.
Reveal.
The glimmer grew in her sight, and a fainting warmth crawled over her mind. She stood firm, and as she focused on the glimmer, she noticed the clover and crabgrass below it peeling back. A path! As the path revealed itself, something in Tierney's mind revealed itself as well. Something beautiful.
You wonderful fucking bitch. Oh, you totally got this. Blessed be. Fuck. Oh, I hope this is worth it.
But as Tierney took her first steps onto the path, her worries resurfaced like a bloated corpse. She had felt so confident the last few nights, when she had broken into the old pool hall and called the number she found in locker 66. Call for a good time, it said. When the voicemail came back with ritual instructions, she was ecstatic. And damn, had she felt pretty fucking cool smearing blood sigils on postal stickers and bombing the plaza with them. But now, in the light of day, she felt like a fool.
Okay, so you found a path. Great job. A 10-year-old could have found that path, dumbass. What am I even doing? Trying to find a witch I read about online? For what? For revenge? For love?
Tierney honestly didn't know. She just knew she had to make Ronnie pay. That bastard had fired her and her girlfriend on the same day, just a day after they had signed a lease on a new apartment. Ronnie probably timed it on purpose. He was a sadistic little fuck. You had to be a manager at Kenmart. That place was like a blister on the scarred side of a dying infectious beast, but it was also their only income. Luckily, Tierney had a bit over $5,000 in savings, and a curse shouldn't be too expensive, right? The sycamores began to loom overhead, and Tierney decided she should probably remove the glass shards from her hands. As she meandered around roots and ivy, she used her fingers to pluck the larger pieces of glass, tossing them behind her.
Like a trail of breadcrumbs. Sharp, bloody breadcrumbs.
She used her pocket knife to cut out the smaller shards. With each prod, her breathing quickened. In her mind, she focused again on one word:
Time.
holding the pain, loving the pain.
Time.
Tierney poked out the last piece of glass and let out a moan.
Oh, for you, Time, the bitch of the bog, she who rides the pale steed into the fog. In her filth I am cleansed, in her stench I am anointed. I offer this blood to you.
Closing her eyes mid-stride, Tierney sliced the knife gently across her palm. What was one more cut, after all? In her ecstatic state, she failed to notice the knee-high wall of the old market in front of her. She tripped and landed hard, driving the knife right through her palm. Flecks of blood fell like soft rain, and the old market wall relished every drop. Tierney's vision began to blur. She knelt in the dirt on burning hands and knees, her head swimming like the ghost of a fish in the shallow, dark waters of the swamp. Whispers and shadows crawled at her peripherals. The whispers coalesced into a single voice. Come through the swamp, lost one. I hear your cries. And Tierney cried, and Tierney came. The sun was nearly set when Tierney first glimpsed the far-off firelight of Time's cabin. Despite the fading sunlight, she saw her path clearly. In fact, she had never been so clear about anything before. Every one of her senses, earthly and otherwise, guided her to the witch. The swampy scent of decay was her perfume on the wind. The gentle rise and fall of cicada song was her heart beating for Tierney and for all scorned creatures. The soft embrace of the fertile earth beneath Tierney's every step was her welcoming arms. And the stabbing, stinging, scorching in Tierney's hands and knees was her gift. Pain for pain, cry for cry, blood for blood.
I'll have Robbie's blood.
She stopped.
Robbie? Ronnie? Roger?
It didn't seem to matter. All that mattered was
Blood. I'll have that bastard by the end of his fucking goatee. Thinks he can... thinks...
The light of the cabin sparkled through the reeds. It caught Tierney's eye, and she started walking again. Faster, barely looking where she was stepping. She didn't have to worry about any walls or roots blocking her path. She didn't have to worry about anything. Not her job, or her apartment, or
my annoying girlfriend, or my piece of shit car that I can barely afford to keep on the road, or my Catholic mom who hasn't spoken to me in 3 years, or my jealous fucking friends and their constant fucking jokes about me.
all Tierney wanted was
blood.
And as she made her way through the breathing swamp, she picked at her wounds to keep them flowing, so as to nourish the vines that climb and choke, and to feed the worms that fuel the world, to surge the tides that ever lap at the shores of devastation, to seal her intentions, to make them suffer like she suffered. You are so good at that, aren't you? A cold voice from ahead. Tierney jumped. Her vision focused, and there, in front of a mossy cabin with a rusted sheet metal roof, stood Time. Tierney sputtered out a
Huh?
before dropping to her knees. Suffering, darling. You suffer so well. Time stepped forward, her violet patchwork dress waving gently in the wind. She raised one small, calloused hand to Tierney's cheek and began stroking the hair out of her face.
Thank you.
With one swift flick of her thumbnail, Time sliced open Tierney's cheek. Tierney moaned. Time wiped the blood with a soft caress and licked it from her thumb. She put her hand beneath Tierney's chin to turn her face upward. Time's eyes were as cold as her voice. The glow of candlelight through the cabin window was warm by comparison.
Can we go inside? I I think I need some water.
No, my precious. You can stay on your knees. But if you're thirsty, I can help you. Can you crawl for me? Tierney balked, a choked voice clawing at the back of her head.
Go home, you fucking idiot. Run.
She was tired of listening to that voice. She had a new voice now.
Anything for you, Thyme. Blood for blood.
Time turned and led Tierney away from the cabin, off the path, into the reeds, into the swamp. The witch's feet were bare, and in each shallow footprint she left in the mud, a dark liquid poured from the earth. Egrets and ducks alighted and lapped at the puddles. They were joined by turtles, beavers, gnats, moths. The animals gnawed and pecked at Tierney as she crawled by them. Her blood flowed and mingled with the dark liquid. When the creatures had finished their meals, they joined in procession behind Tierney. The sun had set, but a serene orange glow pulsed through the reeds all around them. It made Tierney think of the lights that used to illuminate the plaza at night. She had her first kiss under those lights. She had her heart broken under them, too. They didn't shine anymore. Was some hurt girl creeping through the dark corners of the plaza at this very moment? Was she seeing the sigils Tierney had painted in her own blood? Would she, too, be called by the sweet song of the swamp witch? They continued into the marsh, and the orange glow grew brighter and the mud thicker. With each move Tierney made, the earth grabbed at her, held her tighter. She wished it would never let her go. She wished that she could stay here forever, basking in the orange light, under the swirling black cedar water, lost in centuries of muck and decay. For here she had a home. Time stopped and turned to bless Tierney with her gaze one last time. Go ahead, honey. She stepped aside, and Tierney crawled past her and into the water, into her home.